Hey, what's up, guys? So today what I want to focus on a little bit is going to be a little bit of a two-parter, and I know this is very specific to our learners, especially the grade 10s. In your data files that you guys were given, that you had the opportunity to take, you'll find that I'm going to do two activities with you guys, just so that we understand the whole idea of cell references and multiplication, and then also how we apply certain instructions to an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to go over two things with you guys. The first one is going to be called formulas. It's in your data files, 4.1 formulas, and then I'm going to go through mark list as well, where there's 13 instructions that I'll do with you guys. And those 13 instructions are something that you can similarly find, or that you will find in an exam type of practical paper. So formulas. Okay, now if you looked at the previous video, I spoke about cell references, and that every cell that when you want to do a calculation has to start with the equal sign. Now, because you're taking two cells and we're going to be multiplying them by each other or subtracting them or adding them to each other, there's no need for us to specify a type of calculation, in the sense that we don't need to say equal sum, equal average, because we're not trying to work out an average. We're not trying to work out a total value of multiple values. Okay, so I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, and over here we're going to do, it's literally 4 quick calculations. It's nothing too difficult. It's just something to wrap your heads around, and you can literally do this in 30 seconds. Okay, so the first one that we look at here, we have an item of a chicken pie. It costs $16.95, and we want 12 of those. So nothing too difficult. We want to work out how many 12 pies are going to cost us. So we're going to start off by going equal. Okay, again, we don't have to specify equal sum or anything like that. We just go equal the price of the item that we're taking, so it's equal B3 multiplied by the cell C3. Okay, so we're referring to those two cells, and we want to get a total amount, so we're going to multiply them. So we use the little star, the little asterisk as a multiplication operation. And if we go enter, 203 Rand and 40 cents. Okay, very, very straightforward. Nothing too difficult about that. You guys could have even gone equal that value multiplied by 12. Okay, and you would have gotten the same answer. But just be careful, because I've said use cell reference, I'm actually wanting to see you making reference to the C3, where that number 12 is found. Okay, so you could have gone that way, but just remember, I'm asking for cell referencing. Okay, now over here with this one, it says Randy Todd, okay, has a school fees. School fees is 3,200 Rand, but we've only paid 950 Rand so far. Now we need to know what the outstanding is. Now, whether you do pure maths, maths literacy, or whatever the case may be, you would know to find out an outstanding balance, we've got to take the full value less what we have paid. Okay, so again, this is a normal operation of subtraction. We don't have to put anything in brackets. We don't have to specify the type of calculation. So all that we're going to do is we start off by saying equal. Again, cell reference is important. We look at the full amount of the school fees, which is 3,200. And we're now going to subtract. So we use a little minus sign, minus cell C6, which is the 950. And if I subtract those two, an outstanding balance is 2,250. Okay, now a lot of you do or will make a common mistake where you're reading so quickly, you're not sure what you're doing, or you understand what you need to do, but you know your mind is working overtime. And some of you might just go and take that value, subtract that value for some odd reason, and you're going to get a negative figure. Okay, so just be careful of things like that. Okay, so just be careful of that. Now, if you remember from the previous video that I did, we got an Excel error of name. Okay, there was a name, hashtag, or question mark, something like that. And that is because we used text in a calculation. Okay, so it didn't really understand what we were doing, so it gave us an error. Okay, so in other words, let me show you. We went something like that. Okay, and that is because we used text, letters, in our calculation, and Excel doesn't understand that. Okay, so that is one error message that you do get in Excel. The other error that you get in Excel will commonly be shown as a couple of hashtags. Okay, and the reason why we get these hashtags is not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just that the cell is too small to showcase all the numbers. So what we need to do is, all we do is at the top between column D and column E, there's a little line, we double click and it will automatically adjust it so that all the figures can be showcased in that cell. Okay, so I've shown you two error messages. Okay, I will show you error messages throughout the next couple of videos, but just remember, anything that where you get an error message with the word name in it is because we're using text in the formula and it doesn't understand it. And if we get the hashtags, that means that the cell is too small and it doesn't show all the values. And if we just enlarge that column or cell a little bit, we will see all the true values. Right, moving along. Okay, third little calculation, we have profit. Now, I know in accounting terms and sometimes in the business terms, there's a formula that they work out, especially when you look at profit percentage increase or whatever the case. You take the new price minus the old price, divide by a whole lot of things. But in this case, it's very straightforward, and it's profit. And profit is taking my selling price and I subtract my purchase price. Because we know for a fact when we go to Bad Boys or we go to Street Fever and we want a pair of Nike sneakers, tackies, you guys don't use those words anymore. You want a pair of Nike sneakers, and you think, jeepers, 1,200 Rand is a bargain. The scary thing is, there's some companies that have maybe bought that same pair of shoes for maybe 200 bucks. And all of a sudden they're selling it at over 1,000 Rand, so there's a massive profit on it. Okay, now we're not here to determine what the profit percentage is. We just want to know what the profit in value is. So again, we start off by going equal. Here we've got to work backwards. Okay, in the sense that we've got to first take the selling price and then subtract the purchase price. In the previous calculation, we took the school fees minus what has been paid. We work the other way around now. So all we do is we took the selling price of 1,650. It was a pair of, I don't know, Air Max, and we minus what the shop actually bought them for, and they have actually made 450 Rand profit on those pair of shoes. Okay, so we're taking the selling price, subtract the purchase price to get the profit. Right, now the last little calculation that I want to show you is going to be a multiplication sum. And over here it says Amy Daniels is going to a concert. She's going to, I don't know, Spice Girls or One Direction or Justin Bieber, and she's going to take 18 of her friends with her. Okay, it's going to be her sweet 18, so she's taking 18 friends with her. I'm just making this up. So she now needs to tell her parents how much money they need to fork out, okay, and what they need to pay for tickets. So what they're going to do is they're going to take the 18 tickets and they're going to multiply it by the price. Now, because we've got a lot of text in here, okay, we want to get a value. All that we're going to do is we're going to go equal 18 times 50, because we're actually going to plug it in, okay, because we can't make a cell reference to that cell because there's a lot of text in it, so we're going to get an error message, okay. So we go the 18 B12 multiplied by 50 and we get 900 Rand. Okay, if for argument's sake now that just came up as 900, to get it into a figure you need to go format cells, and by the number you just go currency and you'll set it to Rand. At the moment it's just on a general number. If you had gotten just 900, to change it into currency, I right click, format cells, go to currency, leave it on 2 decimals, it's okay. And there's my 900 Rand. Okay, very, very basic little add, subtract, and multiply. Okay, we can use the divide as well. Okay, for argument's sake, I could have said, now, right, let's take that value away there. And I said to you, and say I plugged in a value of 900 Rand there, and I wanted to know how many tickets were bought. In that cell, I'll go equal that, and divide is the forward slash, okay? I divide that by 50, and I'll get my 18. So Excel can do the normal roundabout calculation, the add, the subtract, the multiply, and the divide. Nothing too difficult in that over there. Right, so let's go and have a look at that. Will be obviously the activity formula that's in module 4.1. Okay, not too difficult. I can close that one. I don't need to save it as such. But here we're going to go now to a typical exam situation. All right, where I've given you 13 instructions, and guys, 13 instructions in computers is almost like saying 13 marks. Okay, so for every instruction that I give you, you will get a mark for it. Okay, so basically right now, just on editing, you're going to get 13 marks. Right, so let's do the first one as is. The first one says, drag column A wider so that all the surnames are fully visible. Okay, so at the moment, I can already see in column A, the heading surname, the E is not showing. There's the surname. I can only, there it tells me it's Oosthuizen, it's not showing. Now, instead of me dragging column A wider so that all the surnames are fully visible, I'm just going to use the technique of double clicking, and it will automatically auto size that column for me that everything is visible to the biggest cell that is in that column. All right. So in other words, if Oosthuizen is the longest surname, it will automatically expand that column so that the biggest word, which is Oosthuizen, will be visible. And if I do that, boom, it shows me everything. Okay. And actually, the biggest surname is Van der Westhuizen. It's quite a long list here, guys. You will find this one in module 4.1. It's called mark list. Okay. So instruction 1 is done. So I'm just going to go and fill it because I'm done with it. Right. It says now, wrap the text in cell C1 and D1. Okay. So in other words, I want it to look a little bit neater. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click on cell C1. And at the top on my home tab, under the alignment grouping, there's a wrap text section. I'm going to click that, and it wraps it around nicely for me. Puts test 1 at the top and a little description. Similarly, wrap text, boom. Okay. Again, that so far 2 marks of your 13 marks. Done and dusted. Okay. Done and dusted. Right. Third instruction. It says insert an extra row at the top. Okay. So there is multiple ways of doing this. It says you can go to the home tab, right? In the cells grouping, which is over there, I can go insert, and I can insert cells. Okay. And it will tell me where I want to shift it. Put it in entire row, entire cell. Okay. I just likely right click, insert, and it pushes it right to the top for me. Okay, I'll show that to you slowly. In Excel, it always works above and to the left. Okay, so I want, it says now insert a row at the top. So I can go now home, insert, I want to insert columns or rows. I want to insert rows, and it will shift it. Okay, my cursor is at the bottom there, so I do apologize. Okay, but all I can do is I can select that row, right click and insert, and it will insert on the top for me. It's the same principle, it's the same concept, it means the same thing. Alright, either way is acceptable. I just like to work with it because, again, I've been working with Excel for a while, so I know that way and I'm more familiar with it. Right, and guys, I know it seems like I'm going through this quite quickly. Again, you can pause these videos and you can take an instruction at a time, but I promise you these are things that you will get to know with time, by playing on the Excel. And again, these tutorials will make you feel a little bit more comfortable with what's actually happening. Alright, so we move on to the fourth one there, and it says type the heading Geography Marks grade 10B in cell C1. Alright, so I'm going to just go type here. It just says type it as is. So I'm just going to go capital G for geography. Geography, right? It says Geography Marks. And you can type however you want to, whether you want to do it full capitals or everything lowercasing, it's up to you. But I'm just doing this as if I would be typing a report. Grade 10B. Okay. Now, from previous tutorials, you will know that I've typed that in A1, but the rest of the wording actually goes over into the next one. Cell B1 is actually empty. Okay, this is just the 10B is just overflowing onto it. So what do we do to correct this? Exactly what point 5 is saying. It says we need to merge cells A1 to E1. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold down click in A1, go right across to E1, and I'm just going to hit merge and center. Okay, so that will automatically shift up whatever heading I had in A1. It's going to shift it right across for me and center it to whichever point or whichever cell I have stretched that merging cell to. You understand? So we can see that there's equidistance from the letter G in geography to the end of the cell, and same distance from the 10B to the end of the cell. It merges and centers it nicely for us. Right. Quick and easy stuff. Right. We're scoring easy marks now. Right. It says now shade cell A1 any light color. Right. So we're just going to shade it. We're just going to fill it with a nice little color. Right. We go more colors, and you guys can really go crazy and you can shade it in whatever color you want to. I'm just going to go OK and fill it. Okay, shaded it in nicely, nothing too stressful over there. Okay, so again, you guys can play around with your colors and you can shade it in. Right, there's some fill effects. This is something that I'll show you later on. There's shading styles. Okay, so if I wanted it to go corner to corner, just look what this is going to look like now. And I go OK. Right, I've applied it to the wrong place. So if I select that cell and I go font to the fill section and I go fill effects, by the shading styles, that's what it's going to look like. It shades out inwards, corner to corner, diagonally, vertically. So I'm just going to choose how I want to, if I ask for a shading style, and I can change these colors up if I really want to. And if I go OK and I go OK, there's a bit of a shade effect to it. Okay, right, instruction done. We use yellow. Okay, halfway there. It says now make the heading in row 1 Calibri 14 point bold. Nothing too difficult. I select that cell. It's on already Calibri. I boost it up to 14, and it says there that it has to be bold, and I hit the bold section. Stands out nicely. It's a heading, okay, of a particular mark sheet, so it looks very nice. And again, I could have told you to underline it. I could have told you to italics it, put it in italics. Whatever the case may be, I could have told you to change the font. Again, we know where to find that because this is a Microsoft Office suite. It has similar interfaces as of Microsoft Word. Okay. So it says now change the height of the second row to 30. In other words, 40 pixels. So if I click over here now, you'll see if I click down, it says at the moment it's 36 pixels and it's 27. Okay, I want it to be 40 pixels or the size 30. If I right click there and I go row height, it's currently on 27. they've asked for it to be 30. I type in my 30 and you'll see it automatically adjusts. Then how do I know this is done? If I click there, it'll tell me it is 30 at the moment and it's 40 pixels, exactly where I want it. You can opt to drag it down until you see where it lands, but sometimes it jumps, say, from 39 to 41. And if I'm asking specifically for a cell to be 40, you might be missing it because there's a little bit of a twitch in your hand or the mouse is not gripping so nicely on the surface. So just get into the habit of whichever cell or row you want to adjust, you right click in that section because you can see that whole row is now highlighted. I go row height and I can punch it in. Okay, I'm on cell row 1, that's what's different. Okay, so we are done with that one, and I really hope that you guys are still following me, and this is pretty straightforward. It says now make the headings in the second row, it needs to be bold, so these ones need to be bold. And how? What I do is I select them all. Okay, I hit the bold button. It says there now it has to be 12 point, so I just boost it up 1. Next to the little size, you'll see there's a little capital A with a little arrow. It says increase font size. I slap that once to boost the 11 to the 12, and it says center them vertically. And what we know very well is we can either go to the alignment over here, but if we've forgotten which one's horizontal and which one is vertical, I just right click, format cells, I go to the alignment, and it's asked me now to center them vertically. So on the vertical section over there, I go center and I hit OK, and it will do it for me. And there you'll see the first one is vertical and this one is horizontal. Okay, so again, you'll see I like to use the right click format cells. It's brilliant. It gives me those options. Okay, it's nice for me to use, and it's going to be your best friend when you come to doing little practicals and little exercises on your own. Right, guys, we are 4 away, and I think it's going to get a little bit more tricky now. Maybe, I'm not sure. It says center columns C, D, and E. Okay, so column C, D, and E need to be centered. So what I did over there to select them all, I can either click and drag across to select them, or I can hold down Control and select them. Okay, so it says we need to center the columns C, D, and E. Okay, so here we can see that it has been centered, or the middle line has been centered over there. But this one, we can see it has been aligned to the right. They want it to be centered, so we go across and we hit the center. Okay, now it looks very nicely, so it has been vertically and horizontally centered, which is fantastic. It looks a little bit better as well because there it just looks like it's all pushed one side and doesn't look too great. So it's always nice to have it centered when you're working with figures. Again, for every instruction that I give you, think of it as a mark. All right. It says now add a bottom border to cell A1 and also to cell A2 right through to E2. Add a bottom border to cell A1, okay, A2, and all across to E2. So we want a bottom border, okay. So in other words, the bottom border has to be on that line but over there. It needs to be under the geography part, but it must be underneath the surname of that. So in other words, we want to take that section over there. We want to put a border around it, but you don't want the ends. Okay. Now, if you remember from the previous tutorials that I did and what we've explained in class, this is not a difficult concept because I can actually build my border. Right. So on the font size or on the font tab, there's a little box that says border, and I'm actually just going to go down and go to more borders because I want to show you how we build this. Okay, so this should be quite familiar to you guys, and we're going to just select our style, and you know what, I'm going to be a little bit different and I'm going to make this one red. Okay, and we want the outside borders, but remember now we don't want the sides. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to deselect the sides, and if I hit OK, there's my top. It says now, look at the question, add a bottom border to cell A1. So there's A1, but it's a merged cell. So this whole cell at the moment that's merged is A1. So there's a bottom border of A1, which is there, and it says from A2, which is that cell, all the way across to E2, there has to be a bottom border. So we are just boxing in those headings in row 2 without having the side borders. And again, what we've done is, I'll show that to you slowly again. What do I want to box? I want to box those headings, but I don't want the sides. Okay, so I go borders, more borders. I select my style, in other words, the thickness or the pattern. We change the color to red. We want the outside, the outline borders. Okay. Ooh, I didn't select my color there. I want my outline, and I just deselect my sides. Alternatively, I could have gone select my style, select my color, and I want a top, and I want a bottom, and I want no sides. If I go OK, there's my bottom borders. Okay. Right. And I think that's probably the most difficult thing that we're going to do today in this exercise. And then lastly, I'm not going to save and close the spreadsheet. You guys can do that. It's a normal file save as. It says here, insert a formula in cell E3. So here's E3 at the moment. So I put my cursor ready there. I activate that cell and I carry on reading. It says now insert a formula in E3 to add Anthony Burton's 2 test marks together and copy it to the other cells in column E. This is a brilliant thing, okay? Because we know if we look at his total, his test 1 was out of 40, his test 2 was out of 60. So in essence, there has to be a mark out of 100, which means whatever his mark out of 100 is going to be his percentage of the 2 tests, correct? So if we add the 2 together, we're going to know his percentage for the term. Now, what's nice about this is I do not expect you guys to do equal sum all the way down. We use what I showed you in the previous tutorial, and that is the autofill function. Again, I go equal. It says there, insert a formula to add up. So we go equal sum, that plus that, and it's going to give us an answer of 66. Okay. Alternatively, what you could have done is you could have gone equal sum, open bracket. You could have clicked and dragged across to select those 2, and you would have gotten the answer. But because Excel is so brilliant, okay, we know now in E4 we need to get an answer. So we can autofill, and Excel is going to know that, okay, because we're now going to E4, it must take C4 and C4 plus D4 to get me an answer. So let me just zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm doing again. To do the autofill, at the bottom of the block there, of the cell, there's a dark box. If I click there to activate that dark black cross, and I drag all the way down, okay, remember I need to first select that one where the calculation is in, and I click there and I drag all the way down to the bottom of my sheet. It's going to add up all the kids' marks for me without me having to do 30 individual little calculations. And that is the brilliance of autofill. Right, guys, I've literally shown you guys now a quick 13 marks, how to do it, how to get it in a practical situation. I really hope that this has helped. There's one more tutorial that I'm going to show you guys regarding Excel for now, just to wrap your head around it, and then we're going to go over to some Microsoft Word videos. So thanks very much. Really hope this helped, and practice this. Again, both of these activities, formulas and mark lists, were found in module 4.1, but there's a whole lot of other activities in there as well that you guys can go through And if you're clever, you will look at the solutions that I've given you in a separate folder that shows you the exact calculations and formulas to get those answers. So practice it, follow the instructions in your textbooks, and you guys will be great. Cheers.